everybody, and welcome to Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast. We've made it to the internet. We've strayed away from the radio, and now your favorite crowd is here talking sports. My name is Luke Lograno.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
And I'm David Acasella.
And Lawrence Lograno will be joining us down the road here. He's actually in the city tonight. He's seeing The Cursed Child on Broadway, so I hope he's happy because he's going to miss a very, very good show. He's going to miss a good one.
So just to clarify, we do have four hosts on this show.
We do have four hosts.
Lawrence Lograno is the fourth
There's
host.
There's just three at this moment.
Exactly.
Correct.
Get like a little, boost in our payment for advertising for that show.
If Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is looking to sponsor us right at the gate, I will gladly take it. We'll be in discussions.
And also, it was only a matter of time until we got back together talking sports. We knew it wasn't going to be long when we signed off on WQAQ that this was bound to happen. It was just a matter of when, where, and when the timing.
Oh, absolutely.
This has been in the talks for quite some time now. And I think our opening topic is really the catalyst of what brought us back together.
Yeah, there was one particular reason that this had to happen.
It was so important that texting wasn't sufficing. Normally we get around texting about topics, and this one was so long that I couldn't even keep up. The messages were all over the place.
My fingers got tired of typing, and I was like, "That's it. I'm done with it.
We're getting a podcast."
Yeah, or so we're like a talk show. I don't know what would you call it.
So we're a little bit late to the game here, but our opening topic, the first ever topic on Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast, on his birthday. We're discussing the Andrew Luck retirement.
Today's his birthday?
Today's his birthday.
How do you know that?
Because I saw it this morning. I go on the internet.
I do too. Whatever. I probably unfollowed everything him. That's why.
So the big argument here is the way Andrew Luck left. I'm sure you all remember that week 3 of the preseason, Andrew Luck on the sideline was telling his teammates that tonight would be the night that he'd have to call it quits. He wanted to do it Sunday
for 2 weeks. The entire organization had already known for 2 weeks.
They knew in preseason.
They knew after the first game. That's why Brissett didn't play the second or third game. And as a Colts fan, I was like, why isn't Brissett playing? He's the backup quarterback. But I was like, you know what? Who cares?
And everything seemed fine in Indianapolis, but it was the chef
taking drills before the second game. That was the last time he ever did that, though.
It was the big old Schefter bomb that got us all. Andrew Luck, the poor guy, standing on the sideline, the entire Indianapolis Colts crowd getting the same message that Andrew Luck was going to stop playing football before the age of 30. Andrew Luck walked off the field for the last time to a rain of boos. Waiting until his last press conference, got a little teary-eyed, and now we're here. Jacoby Brissett, after 1 week as the Colts starter. This is the world we live in. So, David, you're the Colts fan here. I'm going to let you speak your piece.
All right. So, man, where to start? I could talk about this for an hour. So, I do definitely believe that he deserved the rain of boos. I'm glad he heard it. I would have booed him too if I was there. It's a natural human reaction to being abandoned. But I can't stress enough how unique of a scenario this is, how something like this never has and never will happen again. He didn't want this to be leaked at that time. He planned a press conference the day after, but it got leaked, which does suck for him. But, that's life. That's 2019. Things get out. There's the internet. Information's everywhere. It was on Twitter. So the entire crowd knew. Now, you're sitting there in the crowd. It's the fourth quarter of a preseason game at home. You've had a couple drinks, and this has been, from the top down, from our ownership down, this has been pumped up to be the best team we've had since the last Super Bowl. The owner had even come out and said a month ago that this team should win at least 3 Super Bowls. Now, he's kind of an asshole anyway. So, no one sat there and believed them. We're like, let's get one. But this was the thought around this team, is that they're that good. And every player now, except for the quarterback, is a good or great player. You go from a top 5 quarterback to a bottom 5 quarterback with this switch. And it's just absolutely devastating to a fan base. And it's not, the reason he got booed is because of how it happened. Not his choice, just the way things unfolded. He wanted the press conference the day after. Obviously, he got forced right after, as you could tell. He was walking off the field and got the boos. And he said, yeah, it hurt. But, like, good, because we were hurt too. That's the whole point. And I understand that this is his decision, but he has to understand that's our reaction then, if this is his decision. So it's not it's more about when he did it. Yeah. Because if he did this in April, we could have done something. If he played out this year with the sprained ankle he has, not really a detrimental injury, he could be playing this week if he so chose to. He just didn't want to. He quit. He could have done this in January the right way. We could have drafted a quarterback, traded for somebody. We could have done that last offseason. There were just so many better options than this to do it 2 weeks before the season started.
So I have two questions for you, David.
Right.
One, had it not gotten out at the game and he held a normal press conference, do you think the reaction would have been that violent towards him?
He would not have been able to be booed because he wasn't in the stadium. I think for a day or two, the Colts fan base would have been really upset in the internet. But then we'd get over it like we are now. Now the season's up and Brissett's our boy, and that's what we're going with. It's not really up to us anymore to be, like, I don't know how to explain.
And my second question is, do you put any weight in the rumor that he had conversations about retiring early in the summer and they told him to hold out until the preseason starts so they could keep selling tickets?
I absolutely believe it. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's totally business. And a lot of fans actually wanted to get refunds on their season tickets, which I think is pretty funny because they're A, not getting them, and B, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Matt Overton, I think his name was. He used to be a long snapper on the Colts. He's currently the Jaguars long snapper. He put on Twitter that any Colts fans that want to get a refund on their season tickets, sell them to me, and I'm going to donate them to a children's hospital, the Manning Children's Hospital in Indiana.
I saw that.
Stand up move by him.
So the reason I asked those two questions is because I think, and I thought about this a lot, all of the anger was misguided. There is no reason to be angry at Andrew Luck because the entire situation was the fault of the management. Don't let that leak, and he doesn't get booed like that, and let him retire when he wants to retire, and you don't have the fan base this angry. I understand the frustration with Andrew Luck because he's the player making the decision, but at the end of the day, someone in the organization leaked it to Scheffner, and that's how it got out in the middle of the game. So this beloved quarterback in your city got booed. And two, if that's true that the management was like, no, hold out, then that's a second mistake on their part that this guy took heat for because he wanted to step away in the summer and not even fake it and fake the rehab like he was trying all summer, but had to so that they could. And I put a lot of weight in that because they're still giving him a lot of money. They're not asking for money back that they paid him.
They are paying him this season, yes. And I do think he will play football again. I don't think it'll be in Indianapolis. I don't think it'll be for another 2 years because he's going to miss this. And he's 29. He's not that old. He's like, you can't. I mean, you can, but going from being an NFL player and playing, he did nothing but play football since he was 5. That change is going to be crazy for him.
It's dramatic, and I don't doubt that.
Maybe he's moved on. He's a very bright guy. He had like a 4.0 at Stanford, and he has a degree in some sort of architectural design. He's a brighter man than I am. But
that doesn't take much, David.
Maybe he'll find
maybe easy, low-hanging fruit. I think the Colts fan base is too angry at Andrew Luck and not angry enough at the management and the front office.
And that's what sorry, good, Dave. Go ahead.
That's okay. The not protecting him and wasting this man's prime, and they ruined him, the management. And it's really Ryan Grigson's fault, if you recognize that name. But he still could play at this moment. He's not physically incapable of playing. He's not injured past a sprained ankle anymore. He's healed. It's mental. He even said to, I don't know if you guys watched his press conference. He literally said the words, I just don't want to anymore. I'm mentally worn down. And like, I get mentally worn down by things all the time, but I don't just quit them. I also don't get paid $20 million to do it, and I can't walk away into the sunset with my knocked up wife and $300 million check. So that's where the anger really comes from. It's the fact that he's just walking away from what was given. Everything was given to him, and he just said, I don't really want it.
Now, David, so you've touched on a lot of the points that I was going to bring up. You've talked about how this is really on the management, how you've given this guy one of the worst offensive lines in the sport of football for pretty much his entire career. He's been beaten to a pulp.
This last year, he was the least sacked quarterback in the NFL, though. Last season.
Now you have a decent O-line.
No, of course.
So what I wanted to say was I've cooled down to the idea of the fans raining down boos. I've talked to you about this. When you're a fan, this is what Colin Cowherd said, when you're a fan, you pay to be overdramatic.
Yeah.
And when you have a few beers in you and you find out your franchise quarterback is going to retire, you're going to be a little overdramatic.
It's a natural human reaction.
I've come down on that part. I've loosened up on that portion. I've begun to expect that a little bit more.
That wouldn't have happened if they didn't find out during a preseason game.
Of course.
Right? There's just no way that would have happened.
Probably still would have been angry, but you don't have that in-your-ear reaction. But where my beef with you still is many times you've thrown out, I don't respect Andrew Luck as a football player anymore.
I do not.
Which I think is pitiful.
I think what he did was pitiful.
David,
played on his team
you just said how much this guy loves football. It's been in his blood since he
loves football. He said he doesn't love it, and he doesn't want to play anymore. He's choosing to walk away. He's not physically debilitated.
I disagree.
Here's what I think. Right?
David, look at his laundry list of injuries. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Ryan. Look at his laundry list of injuries and tell me that's something you want to do for the next 10 years of your life. When you want to spend more time off the football field, just statistically, Dave, look at it. This guy spends more time off the field than on the field. He played maybe that has a nice paycheck too, but when football is in your blood and you got $30 million on the line, do you think that's something that you just get up and leave from? Do you think that's just I didn't think of it that way, get up and walk out the door? No. How much you have to break this guy's heart to do that? Joe Paterno died of a broken heart. Me and you watched that. This man died from it. And you broke his heart. Jim Irsay, Grigson, Pagano, they broke this guy's heart. And they broke him down, and now he's got to leave. And you guys screwed him out of us.
Here's my thing, too. I think it's Belichick, who says it, that the moment you start thinking about retirement, you're already on the downhill. And it doesn't have to happen the minute you start thinking about it, but the moment you think about it, it's downhill. And at the end of the day, arguably one of the quarterback is the most mentally challenging position on the field. Think about how much you have to process.
The most protected, though.
If you're not 100% true, if you're not 100% mentally in the game, how much good does that do his team? If he goes out there the first night, throws 50%, 3 picks and a touchdown, and gets hit 10 times, I mean, you can't. If there's no mental preparation there, then that's good for him for walking away. Poor timing, but again, I don't think you can blame the timing on him if those rumors are true.
Dave, I'm going to ask you this question. I want you to answer this honestly. When he was walking into the tunnel for the last time, do you think he was giving the mental middle finger to the Colts fans? Because that's what I think you think.
No, I think you're saying walking into the stadium or out of the stadium?
Walking out of the stadium for the last time. Do you think if he could have, if the cameras weren't on him, he'd stick his middle fingers up to the Colts fans? That's the way you talk about him.
No, but I think he was hurt that we booed him, and I'm glad about that.
It's so wrong. It's just I
don't know. I really don't expect anyone to understand the way I feel. That's
fair. And that's what we said. That's why when someone tried to bring up if Brady walked away right now in this moment.
The same.
Right.
And Andrew Luck did nothing. He accomplished zero in his entire career. Did nothing.
That's not true. You guys have that runner-up banner hanging up. That's pretty cool.
We have
Ryan, now's not the time to brag about your football team. Now's not the time, Ryan.
I'm just saying. I mean, he did get you a banner. It was a runner-up
There's tons of banners up there that aren't his. Who cares? It's not. He did nothing. Nothing. He played 5 years and had some good years. We could have done. Jim Harbaugh did that. You see, like Jim Harbaugh statues in Indiana? No one cares. Now he's a Michigan coach. You know what I mean? Like. Had he won something or been an MVP or like done anything worth crediting, then yeah, that'd be cool. But he only played 5 years.
So here's my question. I
think it's wrong. Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Would you rather never see Andrew Luck play a snap again, or would you rather see Andrew Luck come back to the NFL and beat the Colts twice a year?
I'd much rather not see him play.
So you never want to see him play football again?
No.
No matter what.
It's like I can equate it. The best way to equate it is like that girlfriend that broke up with you. Like, you know she's going to be out there dating other guys, but you don't want to see it, you know? Like, she broke your heart. And like, now you got this like, new girl who like you've had kind of in tow and like you've been keeping around just in case because you thought this might be coming. And you were right. It did come. So you got dumped and now you got this new girl and she's like, okay, but she's not that great. So you're
What's
stuck
your
with
love
her.
life like, Dave? Is this happening often?
We're 20 minutes into this podcast, and that might be one of the best quotes we get recording for as long as we record. That was awesome.
I have an even better like analogy of what this was, but it's longer, and I don't want to get into it. So it's like no, actually. So this is better. It's like you divorced your wife for this girl, right? You brought her in, and then she broke up with you for like a year. You got back together. You're all happy. And everything's cool. You get engaged. You pick out a wedding date. Right after you send out the wedding invitations, she drops the bomb. Oh, I'm gay. We can't get married.
That's
now it's
the
like,
bomb?
because like you want to be mad, but it's like, yeah, but that's kind of her choice. Not really her choice, but like that's kind of just her. Like it's not her fault she's gay, but she's strung you on, and that's a better comparison.
This is going to be the greatest podcast anyone's ever clicked on by the time we're done here.
But basically, no, like I get what you guys are saying about how if the management told him to do that. But in the end of the day, he could have done it in April or played this season out. And it's just not.
He didn't go about it the right way.
Right, yeah. I mean, he didn't go about it in the right way. But even if it's the management's fault for him not doing this in, say, July or June, that's still the wrong timing. Like, you can't just do this mid-season because you got to give the team an option to replace your ass.
Hey, you got Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer's not even a backup. But Jacoby Brissett's the current answer. And honestly, Brissett played pretty well, but we'll get to things like that later on. I'm still angry, honestly. I thought I wouldn't be. I am.
I don't think there's anything that'll cure your anger, David. I think we've talked this to the point where there's nothing that'll cure your anger.
I don't.
If Brissett goes 10-6, I think his anger will be cured.
No, I won't be.
No, really?
No.
Yeah. All right.
I moved on and I'm rooting for this team now. This is my team, but I still won't view him the same way. And like I said, if his heart's done it, I get why he did that for his happiness. But to be mentally into the game is a choice. He didn't, like, his brain's not falling apart. He chose to not be mentally committed to this. It's a choice. I think that's what people aren't understanding.
And I think you're choosing to be a fool, David. I really do.
That's understandable too. I feel like you feel that more often than not.
That's very fair.
It's I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. I'm mad about it. Don't respect him as a football player to abandon his team like that.
That's all right. And segueing, I guess, Lukester, from one player abandoning his team to another, shall we get into what the last 10 days have been in the NFL?
So I was gonna bounce around from the plights of our own teams. So I guess we'll bounce around from David's plight to Ryan's plight. I will end with my plight. So let's talk about Antonio Brown. So Antonio Brown has had one of the craziest preseason, off seasons any star NFL player could imagine. Went from burnt feet to hot air balloons to helmets to missing practice to calling Mike Mayock some racial slurs. And Antonio Brown got his wish. He's gone. He's free from the Raiders, and right as soon as he possibly could, signed that 1-year deal to the New England Patriots. Just right. Like a lot of people entertained that idea, but not a lot of people saw it coming, and now it's right in front of us. But Antonio Brown can't go a day without drama, because Antonio Brown has now been accused of sexual assault. This was filed by his former trainer, Brittany Taylor, and this case stems from 3 different incidents across 2017 and 2018. Right now, there is no plans to investigate Brown from a criminal standpoint, and he has not been charged with a crime. That's going to be pretty key later on. Taylor is currently set to meet with Goodell, and reports are saying that depending on how this meeting goes, a likely course of action would be putting him on the commissioner's exempt list instead of a full-on suspension. Gentlemen, what do we think of this entire mess that Antonio Brown has gotten himself into?
I think it is absolutely insane what the last 3 months have been. Starting think about like him burning his own feet is like not interesting anymore in this whole offseason.
Can you think about the life this man has lived for the past month? Just think about that for a second.
Think about his children. His children are going to grow up someday and see these 3 months and be like, Dad, what? Were you okay? Like, what was happening?
I listened to.
Does he have kids?
Yeah, I think he does.
He's got 2 kids.
I think obviously the situation that's going on right now with the allegations is horrible, and that's a whole different beast that is going to have to just play its course out. But that is, you never want to see a report like that. That is absolutely awful. From a football perspective, looking at the New England Patriots, I think this is a classic Bill Belichick move where it is relatively low risk for an unbelievably high reward. And the reason I say it's low risk is because a lot of people don't picture Antonio Brown as a low risk player per se, right? Is that the New England Patriots are not like every other team. And people are going to hate to hear that, but it's just true. And they deal with distractions differently than any other team in the league. And I won't let anyone tell me otherwise. They have had accusations of cheating. They have had someone commit murder and drive to the practice facility the day. I mean, think about what has happened outside of that locker room and Bill Belichick's ability to get everyone to drop it when they walk down one Patriot way and play football.
They just win football games, right? That's really that simple.
That's it. And so that's why, when thinking about and signing Antonio Brown, if a $9 million investment from the Kraft family pops off for 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns in a Super Bowl, and you know what? And he has the option to extend next year, too. And it's one of those things where, guess what? If he gets put on the exempt list, if he gets charged, if he gets cut, whatever happens, the Patriots are okay. They put up 33 on the Steelers the other night, and they looked in midseason form. And the first thing Tom Brady said when he got off the field, things could have been better. I wasn't happy with that performance. This team absolutely does not need him. There's no need for him. However, if he's going to have a touchdown and 150 yards a game, why not? It is pure Bill Belichick. I have nothing to lose. Whatever happens off the field isn't going to affect my team because can be 100% positive of that. And let's see what he can do on the field.
Absolutely. In terms of the accusations, I think Pat McAfee said it best. If it's true, I hope he gets charged the maximum penalty. If it's false, I hope people report it the same way. Because we've seen this happen. Look, was it? Yeah, it was the other day. Neymar's accuser just got charged with blackmail. We've seen it happen to Patrick Kane, where he lost all of his sponsorships, got taken off the cover of the video game, couldn't come to practice, and then 3 months later, everything was fine. So I hope that if it's not true, that he gets out okay. And I hope that if it is true, I hope he really suffers the consequences. But Ryan, like it. Say it again?
Messages. In her lawyer's case has texts from his phone about this.
There's emails, there's texts, there's evidence, and she's going to meet with Goodell. But like you said, Ryan. Say it again, David?
He's probably done with football.
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, you're right. But no, absolutely not a bad move by the Patriots.
Exactly what you said, Bri. This is so right up the Patriots' alley. It's not even funny because Bill's a problem solver. He really is. I don't know how he does it, but this guy just takes guys and puts them in check. And after the signing, you saw how deep the Patriots already were at wide receiver. Julian Edelman, Josh Gordon. You had Demaryius Thomas, who's now a New York Jet, but you're going to get N'Keal Harry back, and now you have arguably one of the top 3 wide receivers in the league.
N'Keal Harry's probably out a while, though. But
N'Keal Harry's going to be out till at least mid to late season. You'll get him back, and the Patriots are just, like you said, right? This team usually looks bad to start and then looks like the New England Patriots in the midseason. They already look like the New England Patriots. This team can't be touched.
You know what the biggest shame about all this is, too? No one's talking about how good that Patriots defense is. This Patriots defense, if it hits full form, could be one of the better Patriots defenses. Their front seven is incredible. They have their core of the defense is the secondary. That defense was incredible.
I'm going to fix that statement for you. If this all works out, they could be one of the best New England Patriots defenses.
This
Not
is
just better.
This is
10 years, probably the best one I've had.
Oh, absolutely. But you can't look past those 04, 05, 06 defenses that they had with Vrabel and Brewski and
Those had 5-6 Hall of Fame players on it.
Rodney Harrison. I mean, those
since 09, this is the best one.
Probably. Yeah. This defense is legit.
It's been one game, so I guess let's not jump to conclusions, but it looks that way, don't you think?
On paper. Right. We're talking beginning of the season here.
Yeah, on paper.
Now you guys have the Dolphins coming up week 2. I think the Patriots are going to be just fine.
What do you think of that game, Ryan?
Which one?
Do you think it's a trap game, or do you think they don't care?
It's hard to tell. I mean, that's the beauty of sport. I mean, look at the Blues and what they did last year. You know, the Blues were essentially the Miami Dolphins for the first 2 months of the hockey season. All of a sudden, you have one fight in practice, and things turn around. No, granted, it's the Miami Dolphins.
It's not football, though.
Right, and it is the Miami Dolphins. So you got to kind of
they want
it out there.
0-16, those Dolphins, they really do.
What?
Their goal is to be 0-16.
They are a bad football team.
I've never seen a defense not return any starter before. They literally have 11 new players in their defense.
Is that true?
But it stink. Yeah, all 11 are new. They turned the entire defense because they want to be 0-16. They want Tua. And they're going to send guys out there to go play, but the head coach, the GM, and the owner all know they're not winning football games.
They've run out of Fitzmagic. They're just fresh out.
And they refuse to start the better quarterback. They put Fitzmagic in when Rosen has clearly outplayed Fitzpatrick in every sense of the football game in the preseason, is more talented than Fitzpatrick. And he's going to be on the team that once again gets the number 1 pick and drafts the Heisman winning quarterback and gets traded 2 years in a row now.
Before we move on to another 2018 draft class quarterback, do you think Josh Rosen has the potential to be the most wasted quarterback we've seen from a draft class in the last 5 or 10 years?
The most wasted?
Because this poor guy was projected to go number 2 to the Giants. The Cardinals traded up to get him. They traded him to the Dolphins, who are awful, so they can get Kyler Murray. This guy just can't win. And he was great in college. I'm not saying that he should be a top-tier quarterback right now, but this guy had potential, and he's getting shoved on the worst possible teams for him to showcase his skills.
He didn't exactly have many opportunities, Rosen. You know?
Exactly. He was in Arizona, who was the worst team in the league, and now he's in Miami, who's the worst team in the league.
The league, right?
What is this guy going to have to do to get some luck?
Maybe he gets traded to Indiana next year. Who knows?
Who knows? It could happen. Wouldn't be the craziest thing we saw. All right.
Not the craziest thing we saw.
We've talked about David's bad times. We've talked about Ryan's bad times. Let's move on to me. Breaking news this morning, Sam Darnold has contracted mono. He'll be sitting out Monday's game. He's expected to be out for at least a month. This Monday, the Jets go up against the Browns, and we could expect to see them missing Sam Darnold for his mono injury, let's call it. Quincy Enunwa was just recently placed on the season-ending IR for a neck injury. C.J. Mosley still is not practicing with a groin injury, and third overall pick Quinn Williams has an ankle injury and is very, very questionable. Le'Veon Bell did just get the okay, though.
I saw an article in the New York Post today, and it said the Jets season is already on the brink of implosion.
It's true.
It's true.
So, Luke, true. I have a question and then a follow-up to that.
Go ahead.
So, just a little history here. Luke and I have a $1 bet that the Jets will have a winning season. 8-8's obviously a push. When you made that bet, Luke, what was your realistic confidence that you were going to win that bet?
Very confident.
What is your confidence now?
Not very confident.
Not very confident.
So when I made that bet, the reason I've made this bet is because I think it's the last 3 or 4 head coaches that Jets have hired. Every new coach that they hire, their first season is a winning season. So I figured you got to play the law of averages, right? That's an easy money. Sam Darnold got sick from kissing was not something I had in the track plan for this season, for him to miss a month. Now, we do have the week 4 bye week, which is definitely going to help there. And I don't think Sam Darnold is a major change to the entire season, but I definitely think he could take us from 9 wins down to 6 without him being there. So
I guess my question is, it's true, even before Darnold was out, after the loss that you guys had last week, which was not pretty
upsetting.
Yeah, demoralizing. Just to lose in that fashion on week 1 has to take some wind out of your sails.
Oh, absolutely. And how could the New York Jets not take some wind out of your sails every time they step on a football field? I love them to death. I really do. The fact that we are now the Chicago Bears of kicking really breaks my heart, because we had literally a Pro Bowl kicker on our roster, and we let him walk, and now we're on our fourth kicker this season, and we're only not even 2 games in.
Are you serious?
Yep. We went from Catanzaro, who had an awful week 1 preseason and retired, to Taylor Bertolet. Taylor Bertolet. Yeah, we thought Catman would be the last retiree in the preseason. To Taylor Bertolet, who was very, very shaky. Then we traded for the backup kicker on the Ravens, was Vedvik, I think his name is.
Yeah, he was awful.
And this is what Adam Gase said. In practice, he was stellar. And then pre-game for week 1, he looked at him and he said, "Oh no." So
I was watching him because I had the Jets pregame on here just on Sunday morning, and I saw him on the field, and I was like, "That he is going to kick in the NFL." I watched him try to kick pregame, and it was not hitting them at all.
He looked great in practice, and he looked terrible in pregame, and he looked terrible in the real game. So the Jets have moved on to former Rams kicker Sam Ficken, and boy, oh boy, can I not wait to ask Justin Cerise about his thoughts on Sam Ficken.
Former Penn State.
Ryan, if you don't know, Sam Ficken had the walk-off kick to win the game for Penn State against Boston College in the Pinstripe Bowl back in 2014. So he's a Penn State kid, born and bred.
Jesus, I'm old.
Did he hit it?
Yeah, he nailed it.
Oh, okay, cool.
He was perfect at Penn State. He was very, very okay on the Rams. And then he signed with the Packers.
He was only on the Rams because Zerline had a torn something, right? He popped the hammy.
Yeah, and he was very okay. So now Sam Ficken's a Jet. So we'll see how that goes. But if we lose Mosley for a good amount of time, things are not going to look good in New York, my friend. They're not going to look good in New York. This guy was stellar week 1. He is exactly what was advertised when we signed him.
Mosley's an absolute monster. There's no way around that. He's probably the best linebacker in the NFL right now. I can't think of one better.
He's definitely the best at his position, and I will fight for that.
Only guy you could argue is Khalil Mack.
And Khalil Mack doesn't play middle linebacker. So
Khalil Mack plays whatever he wants.
Well, I mean, he kind of plays middle linebacker when he chooses to, but he does whatever he wants. You're right.
He doesn't have. He's the only positionless player on the field. They just kind of send him out there and say, "Go get the ball," and he goes and gets the ball.
Go get the ball.
That's it.
Both amazing talents. Something that to me about the Jets, just watching them for years and seeing what's going on, the Jets for as long as I've been paying attention, have always been one of the dominant special teams units in the league. They always were better at people than special teams. But now your special teams are an absolute black hole. They are good at nothing. They can't cover kicks. They can't do kicks. They can't punt. They can't return punts. They can barely even get the snap off on a kickoff.
We were voted one of the best special teams in the AFC last year, and now I think we're going to be the bottom 5.
The Jets are usually one of the most effective special teams units in the league, and that's a third of the game. That's a huge part of the game. But now it's literally a black hole. And
I couldn't agree more.
You want to blame the GM for that, but it's not his fault that his kicker forgot how to kick a football.
It's also Joe Douglas's fault that McCagnon made all these decisions, and then they kicked him out before the season started.
McCagnon had to go, though. Do you not think so?
He should have gone at the beginning of the summer.
Here's the thing, what I'll say about McCagnon leaving. I was very anti-McCagnon leaving when he left, and now I see the work that Joe Douglas does, and I'm so happy he's gone. Joe Douglas is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's bringing in people left and right. He's always checking up on people. He's doing great stuff, even though we're not as good as we probably hoped we were going to be. Joe Douglas is really putting in some work for this team.
So
who's the Jets? Way I saw it with McCagnon. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a sec. Anyway, the idea with McCagnon is that Gase came in and he saw that this GM was kind of soft and he wasn't very confrontational and he wasn't going to stand up to him. So Gase got the ear of the owner and said, well, this guy's got to be out. He's not a football guy. We need him out if we're going to win. So now Gase got that. But now Gase has to back up those words saying, I can do this better. He basically John Gruden'd the GM, which is what Gruden pretty much did to get Mayock hired. But now he's calling out players. You got he hasn't won anything. You got to really kind of.
Gates is calling out players?
Yeah, he called out one of the players the other day, didn't he? So I may be misinformed. I thought that was the case.
I mean, you had the whole Le'Veon Bell saga where he said I wouldn't have signed him if I had my pick.
That was prior to the season, though. I mean, like a couple days ago.
He called out the entire wide receiving core, saying that they need to work on things a little bit better.
That was probably what it was.
Yeah, which
He's not wrong.
he's not wrong, but there's only so much the Jets wide receiving core can do because everyone kind of has their role. So you can't say be better at your role because they're doing their best they can. Robbie Anderson is a deep threat. Quincy Enunwa, who's now done, is the short guy. Jamison Crowder plays the slot. This is elementary stuff. I could be running this team. I can't tell Robbie Anderson go run this route and this route. He's a deep threat. That's what he does.
What do you think of Jamison Crowder having 18 catches this week?
He didn't have 18. He had 14, which ties the record in Jets history for most catches in the.
I thought it was 18. That's still a ton, though.
Which I think is incredible because I love the Jameson
PPR league.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, right? No one in the right mind would have played Jamison Crowder, though.
I loved the Jamison Crowder signing. I had no idea he'd be this. I thought he'd be like a 3-catch-a-game guy, and he's just not. He's doing everything. I thought he would be good for maybe 3 catches for 50 yards a game. And he's just doing more than he's asked of. And I love that.
Let's see. It's early.
Ryan, there's not
I feel
much.
I feel the same way about Josh Gordon, though. I think Josh Gordon looked good in week 1, but he's got to stay on the field. I think it's hard. Let's get to week 4 and we can analyze things.
Jamison Crowder's not going to be working at a car dealership in case he just gets out of this job, right?
Fair. So who do the Jets have this week?
The Browns Monday night.
All right, let's do predictions of the teams before we move on. Luke, what do you think? How do you think the Jets are going to do?
Jets are going to lose 28-7.
All right. David, Colts?
Colts are going to play a tight game. Probably lose by a field goal, tight scoring game. It's at Tennessee. It's a winnable game. It's just tough on the road. They're not I think us and Tennessee are probably equivalent. So I would give them the edge at home. Their defense is definitely better. Our offense is definitely better. So that's really the matchup is Brissett against their defense, see what he can do. He really fits Frank Reich's system well, though, which is the only thing that we got going for us. But yeah, I would say 27-24, kind of maybe 35-31. Close one-score game that they pull out in the end.
There you go. I'm going 28-10 Pats. If there's an over-under on Tom Brady's playing time, I would hit the under. I think if they go up big, you don't see him for a while.
You think it'll only be 10 points? 20-10?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you've seen, but the spread on that game is 19.
Oh, it went up. It was, what was it? I think it was 16.5 in the week started.
I thought it was 17.5.
Yeah, it opened 17.5, and then everyone jumped on that, so now it's 19.5.
Crazy.
Which is pretty absurd if you ask me.
I see. Yeah. That's a huge spread.
They are probably the worst defense ever, though.
Definitely up there.
Let's put it this way. I don't see them putting up 58 or whatever they let up last week.
No, because they don't have to.
Right.
But if the Dolphins can't stop the run, Michelle's not going to stop running. James White's not going to stop running. They're just going to score more. Right?
Yeah. I just don't. I think this is the week. I think last week the Patriots weren't messing around. I think they wanted to come out and pound the Steelers because it's the Steelers. I wouldn't be surprised if Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some weird stuff going on this week. I think Belichick's going to try a lot more weird stuff. I think he's going to let Gerard Mayo call a lot more plays by himself without any input. I wouldn't be surprised to see some different looks from the Patriots this week because they can. This is your classic September Patriots team that I think we're going to see this week. That doesn't mean I'd be stunned if they lost, but I don't think it's going to be as absurd as people think. I also don't think Antonio Brown gets that many targets if he's on the field.
Is he going to play?
If they are practicing as if he will be on the field on Sunday.
Wow.
The quote has been, the quote all week has been, We are practicing as if he'll be on the field. We are taking things day by day. I think there are 2 reasons he doesn't play. He's on the exempt list, or Belichick thinks he doesn't know the playbook well enough.
That won't be the case. He may be exempt, though. I don't know what's going to go on with this. It's not a criminal case. It's a civil case.
Yes. If he suits up but only is on the field for a couple plays, I think that's Belichick's way of saying he doesn't know it yet.
Reasonable. He might just get a couple packages.
Bingo. I think he might see some 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7s. You might see him there. You'll probably see him goal line. But that's about it. I don't think he's going to play 25, 30 snaps.
We'll see. All right, let's transition sports here, man. The MLB playoffs are around the corner, and while most of the division leaders are locked, the wild card race couldn't be closer. The Rays, the A's, and the Indians are fighting for the AL wild card spot, and in the NL, we have the Nationals, the Cubs, the Brewers, the Mets, the Phillies, and the Diamondbacks, all fighting for the final 2 spots. David, we'll start with you. Who are your predictions for both wild cards?
If we're looking at the American League, I'm going to go American League first because I'm going to want to talk about it less. But I would say it's going to be Tampa and Oakland, but that Cleveland team could definitely be in there too. It's not. I think all 3 of them are probably equivalent talent-wise. Oakland's the best hitting team, Tampa's the best pitching team, and Cleveland's a little bit in the middle. So we'll see what happens. They're all within a game, I believe, right? Last time I looked, they're all within a game. So that's going to be tight. No matter who wins, though, they're just going to get smashed by the Yankees or Astros. So it's, whatever. Red Sox are out of it, right? It's too many games.
I don't know if they've been mathematically eliminated yet, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think I've watched a baseball game since the middle of July because this Red Sox team's a joke. Thank God Dombrowski's out. Loved what he did, but they need someone who's going to come in and figure out what to do with Martinez and Mookie. But that's a story for down the road. But Dombrowski,
I think they're like 8 or 9 back, so it's probably
they would have to go on the most historical run of all time, and they won't.
Yeah, no. But you just won the World Series last year. Like it's fine, you know.
Oh, it's totally not a big deal, and that's why I think no one can be mad at Dombrowski because he did exactly what he needed to do, and now we're gonna see. I saw a great thing. This is getting a little off topic. We'll come back to this, but I saw a great thing that said, "Call the Cubs, ask Epstein." How much it would cost him get over here for 10 years. And I love that. I would love Theo back here. But we can talk about that on a slow pod.
He's not coming back.
I know he's not, but it'd be awesome.
But so if I had to pick the National League, I would go with the Nationals, obviously, because they're running away with it. And I'm going to go with the New York Mets in the 2nd spot solely because of the pitching staff. Because no team in that race has a pitching staff anywhere near the Mets. And the Mets are hitting way better than all the other teams at this current moment. And the rest of their schedule is kind of a cupcake walk. The Cubs have 6 games against the first-place Cardinals, which is tough. The Diamondbacks just pretty much got pushed out of it by getting swept by the Mets. The Phillies' bats have really cooled off, and they're playing the Braves 6 times. And what's the other team? Oh, the Brewers. Christian Yelich is out for the rest of the year. That's their best player. So everything's going the wrong way for them, and it's going the right way for the Mets. And it's 2 games. So, that's my thoughts on it.
Brad, what do you say?
Like I said, haven't looked at the baseball standings. I'm not going to sit here and BS something that I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about.
That's very
kind
kind
of David. Sure, the Mets are going to make it.
I'm gonna side with you here on 3 out of 4, Dave. I'm going to go with Tampa, and I'm going to go with Oakland. I think both of those staffs have really nice pieces to them. And I think the Indians have kind of closed their window. I don't think they worked their way back into the wild card picture. And then you're right. Even if they did, they'd get destroyed. Any of these
teams well enough, honestly. They're not a good hitting team anymore. They don't have it.
It's true. Yeah, no, they've closed their window. They're done.
Yeah.
When it comes to the NL, I agree with the Nationals, but here's where I disagree with Dave. I don't think the New York Mets are going to make it, and I'd say it's because of the pitching staff. I think this bullpen is so bad that we're going to blow some key games. Now, the Cubs are imploding. I say they're out of it. The Brewers lost Yelich. They're done. I think the Diamondbacks are swept their gun. I think the Phillies are going to creep in there. I think the Mets are going to lose a lot of key games with this atrocious bullpen. If this team has to rely on Chris Mazza and Gagnon and bringing in Edwin Diaz when they shouldn't,
It's really just Diaz that makes me want to jump out the window of my third floor apartment. He can't come back, right? I mean, are we all in agreement with that? Diaz can't come back.
Here's the thing, though. He can't come back, but he's going to, because Mickey can't let that decision to trade for Edwin Diaz just kind of sit there and be a bad choice. He needs to try and validate it a little bit, and that's going to cost us.
No, I mean next year he can't come back. He's in it for the long haul this year. I'm talking next year he can't come back, right?
I hope not.
He's done in New York. He's got to be done in New York.
But you know how Mets players work. They go somewhere else and they revitalize their career. So who knows?
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. He just can't play in New York, and that's the way it is. He's got great stuff. His stuff is just so good that they hit it over the fence every time because there's so much power behind it. And he can't throw a slider. I don't know what it is. His slider hangs every time, and they just wait on it, and they smash it 400 feet. I think that you and I could hit his slider.
You'd be surprised.
Maybe not.
haven't stepped in a batter's box in quite some time. I stepped in a kickball box the other day, but baseball I'm a little rusty on. All right, so those are our predictions for the wild card.
Yeah, no, I mean the bullpen it's a mess though. You're right, but if the starting pitching holds up, it may not matter, but it might.
Who knows? We'll see. We've seen a 10-4 win go right down the drain, so anything can happen. Let's move on to another hot topic we've talked about on the show plenty of times. Now, just the other day, the California legislation passed the Fair Pay to Play Act with a 39-0 vote. And what this law does is it's going to make it illegal for California schools to take away an athlete's scholarship or eligibility as punishment for accepting endorsement money. This isn't planned to go into effect right away. It's planned to go into effect 2023. Now, Ryan, you're our resident don't pay college athletes guy. I'm going to let you weigh in on this one first.
I think that this is just a statement and nothing's really going to come of it because there's so much time between now and then and something's going to get worked out. I think this is a statement vote, but I don't know how with the NCAA that this could possibly actually go into effect.
The NCAA is very upset right now. They've called this legislature unfair. They've called it unjust. They're very upset right now.
Realistically, and to my understanding, when things like this happen, if in a hypothetical world this was to go through and people were to get endorsement money, the schools would no longer be NCAA eligible and removed from their conferences. That could be wrong, but the last time that something like this came up, that was my understanding of what the implications of something like this would actually be.
If that's the threat, I don't think the NCAA has the guts to do that because they would actually lose more money at the end of the day. It's really about the money. That's just what they really care about. And they're terrified of their players getting paid because that's money out of their pocket.
Right.
But along with that also comes the other sports. I think I've talked about this on our past radio shows. The other sports that don't make money, like swimming and girls volleyball and hockey even. I mean, how much money do you think the Quinnipiac hockey program makes? And we're one of the biggest programs in the country. Comparatively to football and basketball, these sports make nothing. And they will all be cut if you have to start paying your football and basketball players because there's going to be no money left for them. And the schools don't care. They're just going to cut them. Yep. So that's the danger. I think this probably won't – then things probably won't happen, though. The NCAA is probably going to say, hey, don't do that. And California is going to be like, well, we made it legal. And the NCAA is going to be like, all right, well, if you want to get paid for endorsements, whatever. And that's going to be the end of it.
Yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to. As we've seen in past stories, this isn't the first time that California has gone above and beyond to help college athletes get their money. California has been the number one progressive state when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I know. And to a degree, they're not wrong. It just I don't think they understand the effect that it may have on the other sports.
Right, and I think what it comes down to is that this is just endorsement money. This is not like this, like we've seen.
This is just endorsement, which is it's not a ton of money.
And how many athletes are we talking? How many college athletes realistically are going to get endorsements? Big money endorsements.
More than 10 in California, like 1.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like think about it. You have your Zions, your Tuas, your Jalen Hursts.
Right, none of them play in California. Exactly.
Yep. You're gonna see one UCLA basketball player, one USC football player, And that's going to be it, probably.
I couldn't. Could you name one of those players right now? I couldn't.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I can't.
Like, Darnold gone. Lonzo Ball's gone.
Even if you go on a national level, like how many players are really going to get endorsement money in college?
California. Oh, the Stanford quarterback might deserve it.
There you go.
But no, honestly, I can't even think of players that you would allow this in California even. You know what I mean?
That's why I don't think it's...
So I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal.
I don't know.
I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with it.
I think it's a statement. I don't think it's going to turn into anything.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, gentlemen, let's end the show on a high note here. Now, news broke today that the University of Tennessee, I'm sure you guys saw the news, the University of Tennessee made T-shirts with the design of a fourth grader in Florida who did not have the money to buy his own University of Tennessee shirt, had an orange shirt, had a piece of paper with UT drawn on it. He got bullied by his friends. His teacher put it on social media. University of Tennessee took that design, slapped it on a shirt, and sold over 50,000 of them. And now what the University of Tennessee has done is they've offered the young boy a 4-year scholarship for the class of 2032 if his grades hold up and he still wants to come.
That's pretty awesome, I think. I mean, you don't really see stuff like that all the time.
I think that...
Isn't that cool?
One of my biggest pet peeves when people talk about sports is like, why do people care? Like, you have no relation to these people. There's nothing. You have no... what is your investment in it? Like, why sports? I don't get what the appeal is to sports. And I think that when you see stories like this is what makes sports so great. Like, sure, you can watch any football game on Sunday and see a bunch of grown men tackle each other, and it's fun and it's exciting and it's a social event that we as a society have created. But it's not things like this. It's a platform to people to make a difference. It's an opportunity for people to have hope in something when they don't have hope elsewhere. It is an opportunity to have a difference be made. And that's why sports are so great, is because this kid, in an instant, life has changed. And those shirts are sick. Those shirts are super cool, and they have a great story behind them. And everywhere you look, at every college and every professional team, and even high school teams, there are people who are doing what they love and are able to make a difference because of it. And that's why sports are so great. It's because it's these people who are playing a game. They play a game for a living, but they're given the opportunity to make a difference for so many other people. And I think this is a great example of that.
And I think that even though this is a bit of a hefty investment, if you will, regardless of whether or not this kid goes to Tennessee when he's 18 years old or not, Tennessee has a fan for life now.
Oh, yeah.
And that might not mean a lot to a lot of other people, but that means the world to this kid, and I hope it means something to Tennessee because this kid's life is so much different because of them. And that's an appreciation that's not going to stop anytime soon. So
I agree. This is sports bring people together. And this is a prime example of that. That's it. It brings people together. And we look at yesterday was the Memorial of 9/11. I was watching the highlights of that Piazza home run game. It just reminds you how much sports can mean to people in times of need.
There's Kenny Chesney says it at one of his concerts. And again, I'm almost positive it's at Gillette. And he was having the conversation with Robert Kraft. And they were talking about how there are only two things that can really bring people together. It's sports and music. He's like, you'll never see people be brought together like sports and like music. And again, this is just another example.
Yeah,
it's nice.
There's really nothing else that brings people together like those two things.
It's nice with all the retirements and the accusations and the mono that we can end the show on a high note. But I think that's going to do it for our first episode. Boys, how was it? Good?
Excellent. Once we get our missing link, we'll be back.
We'll work out the kinks, get it going,
We'll be off the penalty kill very soon, boys. We'll be off the penalty kill. All right. I think that's going to do it for the first episode of Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Luke Lograno.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
And we're back again, and I'm David Axella.
Happy to be back, boys. Nice having you. Everyone, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.